Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you're already subscribed. Today I wanted to do like a video on the beginning, like basics of tarot and oracle and what really helped me, because I was very confused when I first started doing tarot, and there's a lot of things that I didn't know and that I had to kind of learn along the way. And so I think I just wanted to make a video to maybe help somebody else out if they might want to start and learn about it too. First, I'm going to talk about what I do when I ever start my readings. I'm going to talk about some of my favorite decks to use. I'm going to talk about crystals that I like to use. And I'm going to talk about, or what really works for me at least. So one thing that I wish that somebody would have told me, or which I would have maybe researched a little bit more, is when you're doing tarot, it is a spiritual practice. So you have to protect yourself and, make sure your energy, everything around you is really good. So what really helps me is, this is what I always do, is I always have like white candle, and I also have a yellow candle, and I'll light that to, because white helps with protection. And I'll sage. I have black sage and white sage, and I'll just use the candle. I'll light the candle. I'll put the sage over top, and get it to light, because it's just easier that way, because sage is kind of hard to light sometimes. And I'll just get it all, I'll light it up, and then I will cleanse my space. I will say why I'm cleansing it, because you have to do things with intent. So I'll say I want to clear the energy of the room. I want to have access to my higher self and my guides, and then I will do a little prayer. And my prayer is like, you can say whatever you want, really. It's whatever you want to say, but I usually ask my guides, ancestors, creator to protect me and guide me during my reading, so that I can, get the most accurate reading possible for whoever I'm reading for. Next, I'm going to talk about like my favorite decks, and like I'm going to tell you guys what I first started using, and I'm going to tell you why it made it harder for me. And this is usually the deck that everybody tells you to get, but it's just, I'm going to show you. My first ever deck actually was this one. It's the Morgan Greer Tarot. And then the deck that everybody tells you to get is the Rider Tarot deck. And like the thing about those decks is I'm gonna show you like what some of the images look like, and in case you were interested in getting any of these decks. But I really like the Morgan Greer deck. It's really nice. It is very nice. It has really nice, different like pictures and stuff on it. I really like it. I mean, I don't use it that much, honestly, because I'm so used to using a different deck, but this is what this one looks like. And then I'm going to show you the other one. So this is the Rider Tarot deck, and this is what it looks like. I'm just going to show you. It's like a little bit more simpler than the other one, but this is the one that everybody recommends, that everybody uses, and I'm going to tell you why it was a little bit difficult for me. So those two decks are cool. I feel like you're more of I wouldn't say they're good beginner decks for me personally, because they don't really come with a book, like a guidebook to really tell you. I mean, actually this one does. This one came with one for me, but the descriptions, I'm gonna show you. The descriptions are like really short, and I don't know if you can really see it, but the descriptions are super short. Like, let's say, for example, let's say the Ace of Swords, it says a triumphant conquest, great power of force. And it's like, I mean, okay, but like what else? Like, there's so many different ways to interpret the card, so that's why I feel like it's a little bit limiting trying to learn from those decks. So I'm going to recommend you actually what deck that I have been using, and the one that I always use, and the one that's actually the best for me, and I always remember everything, or I learn way better with this deck. And the deck that I actually learned way better from is the Light Seers Tarot. And it's a more modern day deck, and I'm going to show you guys. It comes with an entire guidebook. Like, there's just a bunch of descriptions. It literally tells you everything that you need to know when it comes to this deck. And I use online too when I'm not sure of something, or if this isn't enough for me, like I want more perspective, I will go online and look for different descriptions. But I feel like this is honestly the best deck for somebody who's just learning, honestly. And I will show you guys I really like the pictures on them. The pictures are really nice. I'm gonna show you. They really like speak to me. I feel like maybe because this deck is a little bit more modern. It's a lot more modern, like, and you know, maybe because I'm like only 23, I'm pretty young, so I'm like, I like things like this. Like, it's pretty, like, it's really nice to look at. Like, I love nice art. Not saying that the other decks don't have nice art, but this is just a little bit more my speed, you know. And I use these cards to study, like, and so I'm very like, I know these cards pretty well. So I really recommend this deck for all beginners. I mean, you can get the other decks, and I honestly don't even really use the other decks like that. Like, I will sometimes just to practice with them, but I really love this deck, and it's taught me a lot, and this is my go-to deck. So I'm gonna leave the descriptions for these decks in the description. So if you do want to go check them out, and if you want to go buy one of these decks, then I will link that for you. Next, I want to talk about some of my favorite oracle decks that I use. And first, we're going to talk about now I'm going to talk about my favorite oracle decks that I use. And mostly for love readings or relationship readings. These are some of my favorite decks that I really like to use. And they've really, really, really helped my readings a lot. I'm not going to lie. So these two decks I'm about to show you now are from Etsy. And then I'm going to show you some other decks that I got, I believe, off Amazon. So this deck is really, really good when you're trying to do like a shadow work type of reading. When you want to know like why somebody is treating you a certain type of way, like, or how they feel about me, or what is the negative energy that somebody is carrying towards you. Because yes, we have tarot and oracle decks usually are very like positive, and it's hard to like really figure out, because a lot of us readers, or me as a reader, I can't pull stuff out of the sky. Like, everything that I read is just like the cards is what they tell me. I interpret whatever the cards tell me because I'm an intuitive reader. So I feel this deck has really helped me a lot with like honestly telling me exactly what I need to know. This deck is called, and it's in a cute little bag. She sends it in a bag, and this isn't sponsored or anything, but it's called the Sacred Karmic Shadow Work Oracle. And this is honestly one of my favorite cards, especially for relationships when things are bad, or when somebody's really trying to, figure out what to do about a situation, or they want to know the characteristics of a person. This is the best deck to use. It says lazy, childish, moody, conceited, mischievous, judgmental. Like, this deck has just like destructive. It has a lot of like traits that people carry. Indecisive. And you don't even have to do it for like romance. It could just be you just want to know certain things. Like, it really helps me personally, especially when I'm doing love readings and somebody asks me like, what's this person's energy towards me, and I pull cards and I'm seeing like this person might be bored of them, they might be being deceitful with them, they might not be being honest completely about how they feel about them. So I'll pull this deck out and I'll just ask like, what's the energy, what is their energy towards this person? And sometimes I'll get like, oh, they're deceitful, they're dishonest, they're manipulative. Like, these cards will tell me straight up. So I really don't have to interpret much because it tells me. So I really recommend the Sacred Karmic Shadow Work Oracle if you're looking for a good like deck, because I don't know many decks that look like this, and so this is actually one of my favorites. Next deck I'm going to show you guys it was created by the same person. It comes in a cute little bag from Etsy, and this one is the Twin Flame Karmic Ties, and this is also one of my favorite decks to use for, relationship readings. This is usually what I use them for, is for relationship readings. So I'm going to show you some of the cards in this deck, and this is literally like a really good deck to use when you want to know like the energy between you and a person, like on more of the level of not really how they are as a person, but just like, I'll show you. Like this one says quick to leave, love sick, loyalty being tested, meant to be. And honestly, this is a good deck if you're trying to figure out if somebody is like a twin flame or a karmic relationship or anything like that. I actually did a reading for somebody, and turns out like I kept pulling that her boyfriend was a karmic lover. Like I just kept pulling that, and I wouldn't have known that if I didn't get this deck. Like, so I really recommend stability. Like this is a really good deck to use, especially for relationship readings. And see, karmic lover, but it's really like, and it's really accurate, especially. So I really recommend this deck too. Next deck I'm gonna recommend you guys is, this is a good deck, but I don't use it too often, but I do like to pull at least a card or two just to feel for the situation, because what I noticed about this deck is there's not that many negative cards. It's more like positive cards, so you really have to interpret it a certain type of way. Like I'll use this at the end of a reading because it'll tell me like certain things that I need to know. I'm going to show you guys the cards. Like, say I have a reading, like what's their energy towards this person, blah, blah, blah. And see, you'll get cards like this. Like this one says deception, but then this card's like make the effort, calling in your soulmate. This could be the one. Love yourself first. Getting to know each other. Like sometimes I feel like this deck isn't that helpful, but sometimes it is, because it really just depends on what you're trying to know. It's not going to tell you like if it's a really negative situation, this deck isn't really the best to use. Like if it's a bad romance situation, but it's really good to use if you're actually just starting to talk to somebody, getting to know somebody. It really is good for the picking up on that energy and regarding a new relationship or already created relationship. So I recommend that deck. It's really good. It's like a helpful little boost. I do use it occasionally. And then the last oracle deck that I'm going to show you guys is, this is another love oracle that I really like. I'm sorry, this is more on like relationships and stuff like that, but these are just my favorite oracle decks that I just love to use. So this one is the Psychic Tarot of the Heart. And I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. This one's a little bit more, you really have to read the descriptions that come in it to really like understand the cards fully, or interpret them, for me at least, interpret them the best way possible. So it does come with a guidebook, so that's good. These are the cards. Detach, come in front, sadness and isolation, spread your wings, challenging times. Like this is just good to pull just like a couple. Refusing to see, like sometimes I'll pull just a few out of this if I really feel like I still need to know a little bit more about the situation. And this is really good too for positive changes in your relationship, or what you really need to focus on for things to be better, because it is an oracle deck. So oracle decks are usually more on the positive side, except for the karmic oracle decks that I got, but those are made by someone on Etsy, so which I really appreciate her making those, because they're very, very helpful in all my readings. Next, I'm going to talk about like the type of crystals that I like to use the most. I'm only going to name a few that I really like to use in my readings. So my top favorite crystal, I'm not going to lie to you, is selenite. It is a very, very powerful crystal. It protects you. It helps you reach a higher level of consciousness. It helps you reach your higher self, especially in readings. They're very powerful. When you feel them, you will feel them. These crystals can cleanse other crystals. Like they're really amazing, and I always, like even me holding them now, I'm just feeling the energy, and I really love these crystals. So my next favorite one to use is amethyst. And because amethyst helps activate your third eye, it helps you reach a higher level of consciousness, and you need to be in tune with your higher self when you're doing readings, because it's a spiritual practice, and you have to, with me, I have to use my intuition. I have to make sure everything's, makes sense. I have to really tap into my higher self and with my guide so that I can read, the cards correctly, pretty much. And it takes practice to read the cards correctly, My next favorite is actually, might sound weird, but rose quartz. It really helps calm your energy down. Like, sometimes learning tarot can get like really frustrating, and so I really like rose quartz because it really calms me down and makes me feel more self-assured. Along with azurite too. I really like azurite, and I've been using it a lot more when I've been doing my readings. And also, I just want to say, because some people do this, so I want to also talk about that, is also having a pendulum for your readings. If you have a yes or no question, you usually just ask the pendulum, what does yes look like, what does no look like, and it'll swing for you. And then during your readings, that you can use your pendulum if you ever get like an upside down card, or when you're first learning, sometimes you're not sure. So if you ever want to clarify or ask questions, you can always use a pendulum for it. I actually made this pendulum with a random crystal that I had bought, and then with some string, and I just made my own pendulum. I don't really use it that much because I just, whenever I pull the cards, I just trust whatever they say. But pendulums are really good if you really want some more clarity. So that was my little short video on, what decks I like to use, how I start off my readings, and, what crystals I like to use. But I also want to let you guys know that practice makes perfect, and and you're not gonna get it when you first start off. It's hard, it's frustrating. When I first started, I literally would get so frustrated I would start crying because I wasn't using the right decks, and I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I just was winging it. Yeah, and I wasn't really like informed completely about how to do it. So I thought I would make this video and maybe help somebody out, because I know I definitely needed the help. I didn't really look too hard for the help. I just kind of had to learn as I went. So hopefully this helps somebody. I mean, if you have any other tips on tarot that I didn't say that you think might help somebody, you could always leave it down below in the comments. I really appreciate you for tuning in and watching my video. I hope it was really, really helpful. And I hope you have a beautiful, amazing, and wonderful day or night whenever you're watching this.